The film begins with a man named Beau, who was sitting in a cozy tavern, enjoying his meal. Soon after, the friendly shop lady approached him and asked how he had been doing. It turned out it had been many years since she had last seen him. Then, Beau replied, admitting that he was currently wandering aimlessly without a clear purpose, hoping to find a job. Wherever he went, he always carried a mysterious black bag. At the same time, Beau had been keeping a close eye on Timothy Ma, a wicked and merciless drug kingpin. Little did anyone know, Beau had a personal vendetta against him. One day, without warning, Beau unleashed his fury and swiftly took down everyone in the vicinity, including Ma himself. Afterward, Beau placed him inside the ever-present black bag he carried. Meanwhile, in the midst of this chaos, Ma's wife, Sasaki, desperately tried to contact him. Soon after, on a nearby port, 3 policemen arrived, advising that the ferry crossing would be temporarily closed due to an approaching storm. At that time, Beau, who had initially planned to leave the city, decided to return instead. Then, just as he made this choice, Ma's crew arrived, and together they attempted to find Ma. Shortly after, as Beau searched for a place to spend the night, he noticed a woman up in a tree, desperately trying to rescue her cat. Suddenly, she lost her balance and fell. Fortunately, Beau was quick to catch her, and because of helping her, his jacket got torn, leaving Hugh feeling guilty. It turned out Hugh is a policewoman working at the nearby police station. Then, because she feels guilty, she invited Beau to her house to fix his jacket. Then, when Hugh was helping Beau move his bag, he confessed that it contained bowling balls and that he was a bowling instructor. Soon after, Beau inquired about any open restaurants in the area during the storm. In the end, Hugh kindly escorted him to a restaurant where Uncle G, the owner, greeted them. At that time, because he notices it's going to rain, Uncle G offered Beau a room for rent. As the two sat down to eat, they heard a news report on the radio about a boat robbery. It turned out 3 Chinese suspects had managed to escape. This news sparked suspicion in Hugh's mind, as she noticed 3 men nearby who matched the description of the robbery suspects. Shortly after, since Hugh works as a police officer, she approached the 3 men, demanding to know their identities. Unfortunately, she received harsh treatment from one of them. Witnessing Hugh's helplessness, Beau intervened and a fight erupted. Fortunately, he managed to overpower his opponent. Soon after, Uncle G and 2 other police officers arrived to apprehend the suspects. Impressed by Beau's assistance, Hugh asked him to provide a witness report for the incident. Meanwhile, Ma's men discovered their boss's hideout and made the gruesome discovery that he had been killed. Then, when Beau arrived at the police station, his identity was checked, and an officer named Gong congratulated Hugh for successfully handling the major case. However, she humbly admitted that it was all due to Beau's skills. Grateful for that contribution, Gong promised to honor Beau with an award as the best citizen. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a man named Fat interrogated his men about the killer's description, learning that the culprit was seen carrying a black bag. Soon after, Fat informed Sasaki, who is Ma's wife, about her husband's death. Then, because she was so determined to find the perpetrator and retrieve Ma, Sasaki issued orders to locate the killer. Upon receiving Sasaki's command, Fat and his men set out to track down the murderer of Ma. The next day at the police station, Gong warmly welcomed Beau, which made a man named Tarzan feel jealous of his accomplishments. And since they hadn't yet caught Ma, who was still on the loose, Tarzan challenged Beau, saying that if he was so great, he should catch Ma himself. Soon after, he also inquired about Beau's purpose in coming to the city. Hearing that, Beau simply replied that he was traveling, but Tarzan couldn't help feeling envious of his closeness with Hugh. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Sasaki's hired individuals continued their search for Beau, spreading out to every village. During a dinner with the police, Beau, who always seemed hungry, devoured all the available food rations, leaving none for the others. It turned out not only was he skilled in martial arts, but Beau also turned out to be a talented cook, preparing additional food for those who missed out earlier. However, because he felt worried about Hugh's safety, he began teaching her various attacking and defensive techniques to handle opponents. Sadly, this led to speculation that they were dating, which further fueled Tarzan's jealousy. Then, as Beau was about to leave, Gong offered him a place to spend the night. However, on the way, a guy sent by Sasaki encountered someone who resembled Beau due to a similar bag, but it turned out not to be him. Soon after, the scene shifts to Hugh and Tarzan. At that time, they came to the house of a resident who reported disturbances. However, upon questioning, the resident confessed that it was the temple's dog that constantly made noise, preventing her from sleeping. Shortly after, because they feel curious about the situation, Hugh and Tarzan decided to investigate the dog's behavior. Then, as they entered the temple, they stumbled upon some of Ma's men who were guarding a covered body draped in white cloth. At that time, Hugh discovered a human corpse without head. Because of that incident, a fierce battle ensued between them all. However, Beau arrived just in time to lend a hand, though he quickly retreated afterwards. Then, after the police finding Ma's body, Fat informed Sasaki about the situation. At that moment, she desired the body to be brought in front of her. After hearing that, Fat made the necessary arrangements with the police station. Meanwhile, Beau encountered two of Ma's men, leading to a fight. Yet, he effortlessly defeated them. After retrieving his bag, another one of Ma's men appeared and launched a sudden attack, sparking yet another intense battle. On the other hand, at the police station, Tarzan reported his observation that Beau had come to Hugh's aid during the incident, leading him to suspect Beau's involvement in the case. Shortly after, Ma's men arrived and drenched the two policemen in front with gasoline, desperate to retrieve Ma's body. However, their plan was foiled by a brave officer named Eric, who disrupted their scheme, resulting in a fight. However, even when the police managed to capture the criminals, Eric tragically suffered a fatal gunshot wound. Fortunately, his sacrifice was not in vain, as a large police force, led by Commissioner Yu, arrived on the scene. At that time, Commissioner Yu was determined to solve the murder case of the notorious drug kingpin. However, even when it was clear that Ma was behind the crime, the identities of the killers and the motive remained unknown. Besides that, evidence was lacking to arrest Sasaki, who seemed to be continuing Ma's illegal activities. On the other hand, Beau found himself on the run, pursued by the police who were searching for him. However, he cleverly evaded their inspection at the harbor, managing to escape their clutches. Meanwhile, Tarzan, suspecting Beau's involvement, reported the information to the police. Upon receiving the report, Commissioner Yu and Hugh hurriedly made their way to the port. After she arrives, Hugh examined Beau's bag. There, she discovered that the bag cleverly concealed by bowling balls, and inside the bowling, there is something shocking. However, because Beau was so smart, he finally released from the police. Then, before departing, Hugh, whom had developed feelings for Beau, requested his phone number and recorded her own contact information on his phone. Meanwhile, on the ship, Fat received a call from Sasaki. At the same time, Beau was aware that Fat was working for Sasaki. Then he took his phone and directly spoke to her. There, he informed Sasaki that he would hand over her husband in 1 hour. Upon reaching the destination port, Beau was welcomed by his crew, who noticed that he appeared unwell. Seizing the opportunity, he locked Fat in the toilet and managed to escape. In response, Fat ordered everyone to capture Beau. However, as Beau attempted to flee, he was struck by a car, attracting the attention of patrolling police officers. Not long after, the news of Beau being a murder suspect reached Hugh. At the same time, when Beau tried to contact Hugh, he was suddenly abducted by Sasaki's men. Soon after, Beau was informed that Sasaki had taken Hugh hostage. Then, in the midst of heavy rain, Beau arrived to rescue Hugh. To his surprise, hundreds of Sasaki's troops were waiting to apprehend him. Undeterred, he bravely fought against the overwhelming odds, facing off against numerous adversaries. Unfortunately, in the midst of this lopsided battle, Beau fell to the ground. However, because he was fueled by his love, he managed to rise again and continued fighting despite being repeatedly struck. At that time, he endured the beating from everyone until he was the last one standing. Then, Sasaki attempted to deliver the final blow to Beau, but he miraculously survived. On the other hand, Hu successfully freed herself from her restraints, joining the fight against Sasaki. At that time, the intense battle raged on until Sasaki was defeated. However, despite his injuries, Beau expressed that the previous day had been the happiest day of his life because it coincided with his and Hu's birthdays. In the final moments, Hu learns the reason behind Beau's mission to kill Ma. It turned out a year ago, Ma had attempted to free his imprisoned associates, and when the negotiations failed, he had kidnapped and killed Beau's girlfriend. The film ends. The moral lesson from the film is even in the midst of chaos and fighting, don't forget to celebrate birthdays and find love, because who knows, it might give you the strength to survive and defeat your enemies.